Thank you, Chair Webster, members of the board. My name is Mike Kramer. I'm from Fairbanks. I'm here today representing the Fairbanks Advisory Committee. I'd first like to give our comments on the statewide issues in front of the board. Today I'll start with Proposal 164. We read the department's comments and their opposition to our proposal as drafted, so we've submitted a amended Proposal 164. I believe you'll find it in AC 17. And that we would change Proposal 164 to read, non-resident commercial permit holders and non-resident crew members may not retain commercially caught finfish for their own use under 5 AAC 39.010 unless they possess a valid sport fishing license. The number of fish retained must not exceed applicable sport fish bag limits for that species in the area in which the species is caught. By shifting the regulatory focus from .030 over to .010, we believe we avoid the department's concerns concerning confusion between subsistence caught fish and commercial caught fish, which was the whole basis of their opposition. The FAC, who is composed of 15 members, 14 folks who identify themselves as subsistence, personal use fishers. We have one commercial fisher who's fished in Bristol Bay and also on the lower Yukon. We have always been concerned about the issue of home pack, as we could never see the justification for why a crew member on a commercial vessel should be able to retain for their own personal use an unlimited amount of often a fully allocated resource without even having to buy a sport fish license, without abiding by any other restrictions. No other profession or occupation in the state we allow to harvest and keep for their own personal consumption of fish without being licensed to do so. This proposal as amended would only target non-resident crew members and permit holders. It would simply say that if this is a commercial caught fish that you're after and that you retain on your boat, you have to sell them commercially. If you want to have one for your table, just like any other Alaska resident or non-resident, you have to have a sport fishing license. And although you can keep a fish out of your commercial caught harvest, you have to be limited by the sport fish bag limits for that area. Again, we could see no distinction between someone who worked on a commercial fishing boat, someone who worked on shore at a cannery, or in a hotel or any other occupation as to why they should have preferential access for fish to eat themselves. On Proposal 165, we opposed that no other fishery in the state is managed in this way, particularly not the commercial fishery, and particularly not on the Copper River, where that early Copper River fishery you'll hear a lot about on Saturday is tremendously important for the economics of the commercial fishery down there. But that commercial fishery has never been managed to allow the escapement in the river before a commercial fishery is prosecuted. There's many proposals on sable fish or black cod. We addressed most of our comments under Proposal 175 and recognize that sable fish in the last 3 years have been the subject of considerable attention by the board, particularly in meetings that are held in the coastal areas of the state. I believe it first came to the board's attention in 2007. I was in a meeting in Cordova in 2008 when there was proposals about implementing bag limits for black cod, and particularly limiting or restricting or eliminating power reels for the catch of black cod. And the concern then, and the concern has escalated until now in the commercial fish industry, is that as charter anglers or non-commercial anglers are restricted further and further from catching halibut in a feasible manner, particularly in southeast where they're now down to one fish a day, and crew and the captain of the boats are often restricted under emergency order from fishing or having a line in the water even. Again, that's a distinction that we asked the board to make in 164. Why did a commercial crew member keep an unlimited amount of fish, but a charter boat operator can't even have a line in the water? As more and more Alaskans are turning to black cod, maybe as a substitute or to supplement their catches of halibut that have been taken away from them, we asked the board to consider that an important use for in-state residents that can harvest another fish that's good table fare. We currently harvest much less than 1% of the overall black cod harvest, and Fairbanks Advisory Committee is very concerned that this board not take action that would eliminate or restrict the use of power reels or any other reasonable equipment that can access these fish that live in deep depths. Proposal 180, we support the concept of defining power reels. Currently, power reels are not defined. We think it should be defined. We just urge the board not to take a restricted definition that would, again, eliminate the power reels that are currently in use by, again, those Alaskans that want to target black cod to supplement their seafood catch and maybe replace the halibut that are being taken away from us. Proposal 184, felt-soled wading shoes. While we're concerned about invasive species, we also recognize that a significant number of anglers use felt-soled shoes. They're safer, much safer than any rubber or other boot sole material for wading slick streams. They're often used almost exclusively by residents of the interior for all their fishing activities and even hunting activities in the fall. It would be a great cost to have to replace felt-soled waders, particularly the one-piece waders that come with the boots on the waders. It would be a tremendous cost to Alaskans to have to swap out their felt-soled wading apparatuses for something other than that, which is not as safe. We certainly are concerned about invasive species, but believe that other entities, particularly at our points, at our border points, or people coming in with these invasive species, perhaps on their gear, maybe some more appropriate controls might be appropriate there, but not for ordinary Alaskans who already have felt-soled shoes and have not been identified as responsible for spreading these invasive species. Spear guns, Proposal 185, 186, again, we support the concept of defining spear and spear gun, but again, caution the board not to adopt a restricted definition that would eliminate or restrict ongoing uses. Proposal 188, this is the state's Department of Fish and Game proposal to eliminate the state, or say the state shouldn't propose halibut regulations. Instead, we should just mirror that of the federal regulations. We think as a matter of principle, the state ought to keep whatever halibut regulations are on its books, and not necessarily bow to the federal government's version of what our halibut regulations should be. There are many ways that this board can regulate the use of halibut in state, particularly in territorial waters, that this board hasn't really addressed or probably won't address, but we think it's important that the state at least keep their foot in the door for maybe someday taking a proactive position on managing halibut for the benefit of Alaska residents and not just cede all control to the feds, whether they de facto have it or not. 190, this is a Matt Valley AC's proposal to remove the Commissioner's authority to institute an emergency order restricting charter boat and crew members from having a line in the water or from retaining fish. Again, we ask the board, when you deal with 164, to also look at 190 and come up with a justification and justify to the public why a crew member on a commercial boat should keep an unlimited amount of fish with no license or any other restrictions, but yet the Commissioner should be able to retain and in fact implement on almost every year since 07 a restriction on halibut charter boats and their crew from keeping fish for their own personal consumption. Again, the Fairbanks Advisory Committee believes that Alaska's fish, the highest and best use of Alaska's fish, is for the personal consumption of Alaskans. And we ask the board to, if it rejects 164 but retains the Commissioner's authority to restrict charter boats, to define what the difference is so us Alaskans can understand why our ability to harvest fish for our tables continues to be restricted. Proposal 192, the last proposal that we commented on. Yarn on a bare hook is a common fly in Alaska. We encourage the board not to adopt a restricted definition of artificial fly to eliminate an important fly that many Alaskans use on fly fishing waters, even non-fly fishing waters. The ability to tie a piece of yarn on a hook is often the most effective fly available. Thank you for your time.